peoples of the worldwide federated internet. What's good? So, in more news and things going on with this election, I have been going, I'd say back and forth, not really debating or arguing with someone in my comments on YouTube, and they make definitely some valid arguments. Definitely not discrediting whoever you are, anything you're saying. Just so it's known that this video is not necessarily a response to you, but I do want to point out some things because there is many people making the point that saying that there was fraud in this election is comparable to Russia collusion. I disagree with that. Now, the Russia collusion scandal went on for just about 4 years. There was millions of dollars spent, many investigations, and I always hear people say, but people were arrested. And there were people arrested behind the Russia collusion investigation, but it had nothing to do with Russia. There was a couple people surrounding Trump that were arrested for different tax issues, most of which happened before he even started campaigning. There was I apologize, I can't remember the gentleman's name. There was someone attached to him that had some improprieties with some people he met with. I can't remember the details right offhand, but I remember when it came out, it definitely did not point to Donald Trump colluding with the Russians to steal the election. How exactly that would happen, it was never, I guess, unfolded. There was no evidence of it, but that didn't mean it did not warrant an investigation when it was brought up. I remember thinking this, and again, I'm going to reiterate what I said before. This is coming from someone who did not vote for Trump in 2016 and had no intention on voting for him. I did not like him. But when the Russia collusion stuff came up, I was like, oh, this is interesting. I wonder where this is going to go. As more and more things came out, it was clear to me that there was nothing to this. This was made up. And as more and more evidence came out about opposition research, who was behind it, the Steele dossier, many things, I could go on forever, but that would be a long video. But it was nothing, right? They did this investigation. It came up with nothing. There was no collusion with the Russians to circumvent or taint the process of U.S. elections. All right, cool. We got past 4 years of that. It was fake. That's just a verifiable fact. It was fake. I'm not going to get into all of those details. Like I said, this video will go on forever. Now, what is interesting to me is now somehow everyone has a huge issue with looking into improprieties within this election. And you have to admit that something just doesn't seem right. This is not peddling some baseless conspiracy. In Georgia, yesterday, reported by the Gateway Pundit, 132,000 ballots in Fulton County, Georgia, have been identified which are likely ineligible. This is a news story from the Gateway Pundit, a legitimate news source. You might not like them, but they're a legitimate news source. Maybe this is bunk. Maybe it is. But something like that is not a baseless claim, warrants an investigation. In Michigan, I believe it was, there was a glitch in a voting machine that now this is what's funny to me about this glitch. And if your level of cognitive dissonance dictates that you can't admit that this is odd on a level that this does not seem like happenstance, then we just think differently. There was a glitch in because this is what the reports are saying. There's official news reports are saying because software wasn't updated or updated incorrectly, there was votes that were tallied for Biden and Democrats versus Trump. So let me get this straight. So this software, this glitch, specifically when ballots were loaded into this machine, counted Trump votes and Republican votes as Biden and Democrat votes. Boy, that's one of the most specific glitches I've ever seen in my lifetime. Very crazy. It was so much so that it overturned a local election there. There was a Republican candidate that was losing by like 100 votes, if I'm not mistaken. And when that was found, they went back and told him, no, you actually won. That was a county that Donald Trump lost. Once that was retabulated, he actually won that county. They say, this is what official news sources say, that software, that same software was used across 47 different districts, if I'm not mistaken, in Michigan. And the same software, from the news reports I read, the same software was used in the majority of the swing states, if I'm not mistaken correctly. There is reports, and I've seen video footage myself of different vote tabulation centers, the different places votes were counted, where windows were being boarded up. Poll watchers weren't allowed in. There was the one instance in Pennsylvania where Republican poll watchers were not allowed in for whatever reason. The Supreme Court ruled, no, you can't do that. Poll watchers are allowed to watch and audit the vote count. But if I'm not mistaken, they still weren't allowed in. And I think though that litigation is still going on right now. I'm not exactly sure where that is. These are not some bunk conspiracy theories. These are things that actually happen. And if you don't think that that's odd, then I guess we just don't think the same. Again, the Russia collusion hoax, which was definitely a hoax, verifiable, this is not hearsay, was investigated for years and millions of dollars were spent. I almost forgot about that Bush Gore debacle in Florida 20 years ago. And someone at work reminded me of this because I forgot how long that actually went on. And it's funny how the memory works. In my mind, I was like, oh, that was like a week. No, it went on for like 30 something days. And Gore won Florida, I guess, by however much. I don't remember what the margin was. And when there was a recount, Bush won by 500 votes or something like that. I might have my numbers off. I can't remember exactly. But my point being is this is not the first time this has happened. Now, it's the first time I believe that it's happened across so many states. And we can just say that there are things that are strange. And there are people who were showing up to audit the vote count on election day that are coming out and saying things that are crazy. Now, maybe none of these things are true, worth looking into. And many of these people are not just some crazy crackpot conspiracy theorists. So what I would ask is, to those who are saying that this election was stolen is the same as Russia collusion, Well, the first thing is that I would say I would disagree, and I would say that there was no real basis for Russia collusion. The Steele dossier was by far and large just fantasy. Most of the things that were said, there was no proof for, and it was investigated for 4 years straight almost with no proof, nothing. Big fat zero. They got nothing from it. But that's not to say it shouldn't have been looked into. I mean, I think it should have wrapped up way earlier. I think once some of the things came out about the Steele dossier and things linked to that, it should have been killed right there. But I'm not saying that it wasn't worth looking into. We want to make sure that our elections are secure and not tampered with. And as I said in one of my earlier videos, you don't have to agree with me. I am not trying to force you to think like me. I'm just saying what I see does not make sense. Now, if they investigate and they say, no, everything is copacetic, we looked into this, we looked into that, and we got nothing from it, then hey, it was a fair election. Fair win, fair loss. But I'm saying with things like this story coming out in Georgia, maybe there's nothing to this story. But if there is something to this story, that doesn't make sense. I was talking to someone, this was Friday or Thursday, and I just asked a simple question. And forgive me, there's so much news going on, and I might be mixing up these two states. I can't remember if it was Michigan or Wisconsin where 135,000 votes came in late at night, election night, and every single one of them was for Biden. And I was like, just at a cursory glance, and this is me asking someone else, what do you think the odds of that is? And this person told me, statistical impossibility. Now that's kind of what I think. Does that mean that I'm right? Does that mean that this person is right? No, but this is definitely something worth looking into. And here's the next thing. And this is just a fact. There were places that were not allowing poll watchers in. Why didn't they want them there? What were they trying to hide? If they were trying to hide something, maybe they weren't. But why wouldn't you want a poll watcher in there? I'm just saying, let's not have cognitive dissonance, and let's not act like everything was on the up and up. And there are not things that don't look weird. There are people. There's a guy on, and now look, I always make it known that some of the things I say is purely anecdotal. Purely. I would not sit here with you and act like I have some 100% this is data that proves one thing or the next. But there's a guy on Twitter who is definitely not a supporter of Trump at all. This dude has been a Trump hater from the beginning. He's not a fan. Dude named Tariq Nasheed. If you go to Tariq Nasheed's Twitter page, here's one of the things he said. Mind you, this is not a partisan guy. So if even people who are haters, who are not partisan, can see and say these things, I'm looking at this like, okay, am I losing my mind? Like, I'm seeing this and this doesn't make sense, and he's seeing this. Maybe there's something to this. And with the things that are coming out, this is not, again, not bunk conspiracy theory stories, legitimate stories coming out of improprieties and things that don't make sense. Tariq Nasheed says in a tweet yesterday, is anyone else having a hard time taking this Joe Biden, Kamala Harris victory speech seriously, knowing that the Democrats finessed this election? They are really overselling the con. Now, I'm not saying that what he said is correct, but I'm saying if there's people who are definitely Trump supporters to the hilt, And there are also people who are not in Trump's corner saying, this something about this isn't right. And you have legitimate news stories coming out of things that are beyond odd, that definitely point to something being wrong. I'm saying this is worth looking into, and that's not a conspiracy theory at all. It's just what it is. Y'all know what it is. Stay frosty, people.